I woke to sunlight streaming through curtains I'd forgotten to close. The clock showed 6:47 a.m. in harsh red digits. My body ached in places that reminded me exactly why. The house felt different. Empty beer bottles lined the kitchen counter. Someone had left their jacket draped over a chair. I gathered the evidence methodically, shoving bottles into trash bags, folding the jacket with trembling hands. My phone buzzed. A group text from Marcus. "Thanks for last night. We're all good, right?" 4 quick responses followed. "Absolutely." "What happens in Vegas?" "Our secret." "Never happened." I typed back, "Agreed. Delete this thread." The messages disappeared one by one. I watched each name vanish from the conversation until only my own words remained, then deleted those too. Steam from my shower fogged the bathroom mirror, erasing my reflection. I scrubbed until my skin burned, but the guilt clung deeper than soap could reach. These were David's friends, his college roommates, his groomsmen, his weekly poker group. I'd known them for 3 years, trusted them. Last night they'd helped move our bedroom furniture, and I'd offered wine as thanks. 1 bottle became 3, laughter became touches, boundaries became suggestions. Now I had to pretend it never happened. The coffee maker gurgled to life. I measured grounds with steady hands, focusing on the routine. Normal morning, normal wife. Nothing changed, except everything had. The grocery store felt like a minefield. I pushed my cart down familiar aisles, grabbing David's favorite cereal, the pasta sauce he preferred, playing house while my marriage cracked beneath the surface. "Claudia?" I turned. Jake stood near the frozen foods, basket in hand. One of the 5 from last night. His eyes met mine for a split second before darting away. "Hey." His voice carried forced casualness. "Getting supplies for David's return?" "Tomorrow afternoon." I kept my tone neutral, professional. "His flight lands at 3. "Right." He texted the group about poker Thursday. Jake shifted his weight. "We're all looking forward to it." The words hung between us, loaded with subtext. All of us. Around my dining room table, pretending. "I should go." I moved my cart past him. "See you Thursday, I guess." His hand brushed my arm as I passed. Brief, deliberate. "Claudia." His voice dropped low. "If you ever want to talk..." "There's nothing to talk about." I pulled away. "Remember?" He nodded, but his eyes said something different, something that made my stomach twist. I finished shopping in a daze, choosing items at random. At checkout, the teenage cashier made small talk about the weather while I calculated the distance between my house and Jake's apartment. 12 minutes. I'd driven past it countless times with David. The drive home stretched longer than usual. Every red light felt like judgment. David's key turned in the lock at 3:17 p.m. I heard his suitcase wheels on the hardwood, his familiar sigh of homecoming. "Claudia?" "I'm back." I met him in the hallway, accepting his kiss like communion wine. Necessary but burning. He smelled like airplane air and hotel soap. "How was Chicago?" I took his jacket, hung it in the closet next to the one Jake had left behind. "Productive. Long." He pulled me close. "Missed you." The words hit like accusations. I pressed my face against his chest, hiding my expression. His heartbeat drummed steady and trusting. "The bedroom looks different." He'd noticed the furniture rearrangement. "When did you move everything?" "Yesterday. The guys helped." Truth wrapped in careful omission. Marcus, Jake, Tony, Ben, and Carter came by around 8. That was nice of them. David's hand stroked my hair. They're good friends. I pulled the grocery receipt from my pocket, crumpling it in my fist. Such a small thing, but it anchored me to the mundane world where wives bought pasta sauce and husbands trusted completely. "I got your favorite marinara." I held up the crumpled paper. "Thought we could do spaghetti tonight." "Perfect." His smile was genuine, uncomplicated. "Let me shower first." Then I want to hear everything I missed. Everything. I nodded, throat tight. He disappeared upstairs. I smoothed the receipt flat, reading the timestamp. Sunday, 2:43 p.m., 22 hours after. The numbers blurred as tears finally came. I'd bought groceries like nothing happened, made small talk with Jake like we were strangers, kissed my husband like I deserved his love. The receipt went into the trash with yesterday's secrets. Tuesday morning brought a text from Marcus. Coffee? Need to discuss something? I stared at the message while David showered upstairs. The group had promised silence. What could Marcus possibly need to discuss? I typed, "Can't. David's home. Please, it's important." My hands shook as I deleted the conversation. Another secret to carry. David appeared in the kitchen, hair damp, tie half knotted. "You look pale. Everything okay?" "Just tired." I poured his coffee, added cream the way he liked. "Long weekend." He kissed my forehead. "Maybe take it easy today. I've got back-to-back meetings until 6. After his car pulled away, I called Marcus. "We need to talk," he said without preamble. We agreed. "Jake's getting ideas. He asked for your number yesterday." My blood went cold. "You didn't give it to him." "Of course not, but he's not handling this well. None of us are, really." I closed my eyes. "What do you want me to do?" "Meet me. One conversation, then we figure out how to keep this contained." The coffee shop was neutral territory. Marcus sat in the back corner, baseball cap pulled low. I slid into the opposite booth, hands clasped tight. "Jake thinks Saturday meant something," he said quietly. "Like you chose him specifically?" "I didn't choose anyone. It just happened." "Try telling him that." Marcus leaned forward. "He's talking about leaving his girlfriend. Says you two had a connection." The words hit like physical blows. "This is exactly what we wanted to avoid." "I know, but feelings don't follow logic." His voice carried weary understanding. "What do we tell him?" I had no answer. The careful walls we'd built were cracking, and I couldn't see how to repair them. Thursday's poker night arrived like a death sentence. I set up the dining room table with mechanical precision. Cards, chips, beer, pretzels. The same routine we'd followed for months. David whistled while he arranged chairs. "Haven't seen the guys since before Chicago. This'll be good." The doorbell rang at 7 sharp. I opened it to 5 familiar faces wearing carefully neutral expressions. Jake's eyes lingered on mine a beat too long. "Claudia." Tony's greeting was stiff, formal. "Thanks for hosting." They filed past me into the dining room. I retreated to the kitchen, listening to their forced conversation. David's laughter sounded genuine. He had no idea he was surrounded by lies. I brought fresh beers at 8:30. The conversation died as I entered. "Thanks, babe." David squeezed my hand. "We're good here if you want to watch your show." I nodded, escaping upstairs. But I couldn't concentrate. Every burst of laughter from below felt like mockery. At 10:15, my phone buzzed. "Jake, come downstairs, please." I deleted it immediately. 2 minutes later, another. I can't pretend anymore. My heart hammered against my ribs. I crept to the top of the stairs, listening to the poker game continue below. Normal voices, normal friends. The digital clock on my nightstand glowed 10:18 p.m. Saturday had been 10:47 p.m. when everything changed. Time felt fluid now, unreliable. Another text. "If you don't come down, I'll come up." I closed my eyes, weighing impossible choices. Downstairs meant confronting Jake in front of David. Staying here meant letting him make good on his threat. Neither option led anywhere safe. I went downstairs. Jake was waiting in the kitchen, beer in hand. The others' voices drifted from the dining room, David dealing another hand. "We need to talk," Jake said quietly. "No, we don't." I kept my voice level. "Go back to the game. I can't stop thinking about Saturday." His words came rushed, desperate. The way you looked at me, the way you touched. Stop. I glanced toward the dining room. David will hear. Then let him. Jake stepped closer. Maybe it's time for honesty. The receipt from Sunday's grocery run was still in my pocket, crumpled, forgotten. I pulled it out, smoothing the edges with trembling fingers. Such a mundane thing. Pasta sauce, cereal, milk. The timestamp read 2:43 p.m. A normal wife's normal errands. You want honesty? I held up the receipt. This is who I am. I buy groceries, I cook dinner, I kiss my husband goodnight. Saturday was a mistake. Jake's face crumpled. It didn't feel like a mistake. Well, it was. The words cut us both. Go back to your girlfriend. Forget this happened. I can't. You have to. I crumpled the receipt again, tighter this time. We all do. David's laughter echoed from the dining room. Happy, trusting, completely unaware his world balanced on the edge of my choices. Jake stared at me for a long moment. Then he nodded, defeat written across his features. If that's what you want. It's what has to happen. He returned to the game. I climbed the stairs to our bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed we'd shared for 3 years. The same bed where Saturday night had shattered everything. The receipt went into my jewelry box, tucked behind earrings David had given me for our anniversary. A small reminder of the price of secrets, the constant weight of choosing who to protect and who to sacrifice. Downstairs, the poker game continued. Normal voices, normal friends, normal lies. I was learning to live with all of them. After hours, the weight of secrets, what we don't say, the morning after, crossing lines. Friday morning brought 3 missed calls from Jake. I deleted them without listening, but his texts kept coming throughout the day. We need to finish our conversation. Don't ignore me, Claudia. I meant what I said Thursday. Each message arrived with a timestamp that burned into my vision. 9:23 a.m., 11:47 a.m., 2:15 p.m., time moving forward while I stayed trapped in Saturday's aftermath. David noticed my distraction over dinner. You've barely touched your food. Work stress. I pushed pasta around my plate. Big presentation Monday. He reached across the table, covering my hand with his. Want to talk about it? The kindness in his voice nearly broke me. I wanted to tell him everything. The weight of carrying 5 men's secret, Jake's growing instability, the way guilt followed me through every mundane moment. Instead, I smiled. Just need to get through the weekend. My phone buzzed. Another text from Jake. Saturday changed everything. You felt it too. I excused myself to the bathroom, hands shaking as I typed back, "Leave me alone." His response came instantly. Can't do that. Won't do that. The timestamp read 8:34 p.m. In exactly 49 hours, it would be Sunday night, 1 week since everything fell apart. Time felt like a countdown now, each minute bringing me closer to an explosion I couldn't prevent. I splashed cold water on my face, staring at my reflection. The woman looking back seemed like a stranger. When had I become someone who lived in constant fear of her phone buzzing? David was loading the dishwasher when I returned. Such a normal, married thing to do. I wanted to memorize the moment, his sleeves rolled up, humming softly, completely unaware his world balanced on the edge of my secrets. I love you, I said suddenly. He looked up, surprised by the intensity in my voice. I love you too. What brought that on? Everything. Nothing. The knowledge that I might lose this soon. Just felt like saying it. Saturday afternoon, Jake showed up at my door. I watched through the peephole as he paced the front porch, running hands through his hair. David was at the gym, his usual 2-hour weekend routine. Jake must have known that. Claudia. His voice carried through the door. I know you're in there. I pressed my back against the wall, heart hammering. Maybe he'd leave if I waited long enough. I broke up with Sarah. The words hit like ice water. I fumbled with the locks, yanking the door open. You what? Jake stood there disheveled, eyes red-rimmed. I ended it this morning. Told her I was in love with someone else. You're insane. I grabbed his arm, pulling him inside before the neighbors saw. We talked about this Thursday. It was a mistake. No. He shook free of my grip. Saturday was the most real thing I've felt in years. You can't tell me you didn't feel it too. What I felt doesn't matter. I kept my voice low, aware of how sound carried in our neighborhood. I'm married. You know that. To the wrong person. Jake stepped closer. David doesn't see you the way I do, doesn't appreciate what he has. Don't. The word came out sharper than intended. Don't you dare make this about David. Then make it about us. His hands found my shoulders. Leave him. We can start over somewhere new. The fantasy he painted was seductive and terrifying. A life without secrets, without guilt, without the constant fear of discovery. But it was built on betrayal and broken promises. I won't destroy my marriage for one night. It wasn't just one night. His grip tightened. And you know it. The sound of David's car in the driveway made us both freeze. Jake's eyes went wide with panic. He's back early. I pushed Jake toward the back door. You have to go, now. Claudia? Go, I hissed. Jake slipped out through the kitchen as David's key turned in the front lock. I smoothed my hair, tried to calm my breathing. Hey, babe. David appeared in the kitchen doorway, gym bag slung over his shoulder. Good workout. What have you been up to? Just cleaning. I gestured vaguely at the spotless counters. Quiet afternoon. He kissed my cheek, and I caught Jake's cologne lingering in the air. If David noticed, he didn't say anything, but I saw him glance toward the back door, brow furrowed slightly. Sunday morning brought the call I'd been dreading. Marcus told me what happened yesterday. Tony's voice was tight with anger. Jake showed up at your house? I glanced toward the bathroom where David was showering. I can't talk about this now. We need an emergency meeting. All of us except Jake. That's impossible. Make it possible. This thing is spinning out of control. An hour later, I sat in Marcus's living room facing 4 grim faces. The receipt from last Sunday's grocery run was still in my purse, crumpled, forgotten, but somehow comforting in its mundane reality. Jake's lost his mind, Ben said without preamble. He called me at midnight talking about true love and destiny. He broke up with Sarah, Carter added, told her everything. My blood went cold. He told her about Saturday? Not the details, but enough. Marcus leaned forward. She's devastated, and she knows it involved you. I pulled the receipt from my purse, smoothing it flat against my knee. The timestamp read 2:43 p.m. Such a normal thing, buying groceries, planning dinner, pretending to be a good wife. What do you want me to do? End this, Tony said bluntly. Tell Jake it's over, make him understand. I've tried, he won't listen. Then we'll make him listen. Marcus's voice carried a threat I'd never heard before. We all have too much to lose. The receipt tore slightly as my hands trembled. What are you saying? We're saying Jake needs to remember what happens to people who break promises, Ben said quietly. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. These men, David's friends, his groomsmen, his weekly poker partners, were talking about threats and consequences. This is insane! I stood up, the torn receipt fluttering to the floor. We're not criminals. We're just people who made a mistake. Mistakes have prices, Marcus said. Jake's about to learn that. I left without another word, driving home through streets that felt foreign and dangerous. David was making lunch when I walked in, humming the same tune from Friday night. How was your morning? He asked, not looking up from the sandwich he was building. Fine. Just ran errands. The lie came so easily now. I'd become someone who could look her husband in the eye and speak falsehoods without flinching. But as I watched him add mustard with careful precision, I realized the real price wasn't the lies I told David. It was how comfortable I'd become telling them. Monday evening, Jake forced the issue. David answered the door while I was upstairs changing clothes. I heard voices downstairs, friendly at first, then strained. By the time I reached the living room, Jake was sitting across from my husband, hands clasped tight. "Jake stopped by to talk," David said carefully. "About something important." I met Jake's eyes and saw no backing down there. The keycard to our hotel room from our anniversary trip last year sat on the coffee table between them. I'd left it in a book as a memento. Such an innocent thing, but now it felt like evidence. "Actually," Jake said, voice steady as steel, "I came to confess something." "Jake," my voice cracked. "Don't." "Saturday night." He turned to David. "While you were in Chicago, something happened here that you need to know about." David's face went very still. "What kind of something?" I sank into the armchair, legs suddenly unable to support me. The keycard seemed to glow in the lamplight, a small rectangle of plastic that represented everything I was about to lose. "We came over to help Claudia move furniture," Jake continued. "All of us, Marcus, Tony, Ben, Carter, and me." "I know," she told me. David's voice was measured, controlled. "She said you were very helpful." "We were, but after we finished," Jake's composure finally cracked. "We stayed, we drank wine, and things got out of hand." The silence stretched like a held breath. David looked at me, then at Jake, then back at me. "What exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying your wife and I, all of us, crossed a line we can't uncross." David stood slowly, moving to the window. His back was rigid, hands clenched at his sides. "Claudia." His voice came from very far away. "Is this true?" I could lie, deny everything, make Jake look unstable, obsessed. David might believe me, wanted to believe me. Instead, I picked up the keycard, turning it over in my hands. "Yes." The word fell like a stone into still water, sending ripples through everything I'd built. David didn't turn around. "All of you?" "Yes." My friends, my poker group, the guys who stood up at our wedding. Each statement was a blade. I deserved every cut. "David, I'm sorry." "Don't." He finally faced me, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. "Just don't." Jake had gone quiet. The confession apparently enough for him. He'd gotten what he wanted, the truth exposed, the secret ended. But looking at David's shattered expression, I realized truth wasn't always liberation. Sometimes it was just another kind of prison. David left that night. He packed a bag with mechanical precision while I sat on our bed, watching 3 years of marriage dissolve in folded shirts and gathered toiletries. "Where will you go?" "Hotel, then my brother's place." He didn't look at me. "I need time to think." "How much time?" "I don't know, Claudia. How long does it take to process that your wife slept with 5 of your closest friends?" The words hung between us like a physical barrier. I wanted to explain, to contextualize, to somehow make it smaller than it was. But Saturday night resisted minimization. It wasn't planned. It just happened. Things like that don't just happen. David zipped his suitcase with finality. "They're choices. You made 5 of them." After he left, I called in sick to work. The house felt enormous and empty, every room echoing with memories I couldn't escape. The dining room where we'd hosted poker nights, the kitchen where Jake had cornered me Thursday, the bedroom where everything started and ended. My phone stayed silent. No texts from the group, no calls from Marcus or Tony. Even Jake had vanished after dropping his bomb. They'd all gotten what they wanted, the secret out, the pressure released. I was the only one left to face the consequences. Tuesday brought a call from David's brother. "He's staying with us for a while. Asked me to let you know. How is he? How do you think? The judgment in his voice was clear. 10:47 p.m., exactly 1 week since Saturday night. I sat in our bedroom, staring at the clock, wondering if I could have made different choices at any moment along the way. The answer was always yes. I could have said no when they suggested wine. Could have asked them to leave when the conversation turned intimate. Could have stopped before the first touch, the first kiss, the first crossing of every line that mattered. But I hadn't. And now I was living in the aftermath of those choices, measuring time in the minutes since everything fell apart. The house settled around me, creaking with the weight of secrets finally exposed. Outside, life continued. Cars passing, dogs barking, neighbors going about their normal routines. Inside, I learned what it meant to be completely alone with the consequences of one night's worth of decisions. 3 weeks later, I signed the divorce papers. David's lawyer had been professional but cold, outlining the terms with clinical precision. The house would be sold, assets divided, lives untangled with legal efficiency. I met David at the coffee shop where Marcus and I had plotted damage control. He looked older, worn down by the weight of betrayal and broken trust. I keep thinking about Thursday night, he said quietly. Poker night. You all sat around our table, played cards, made jokes, and you knew. David, you knew, and you let me serve you beer. Let me laugh at your stories. Let me trust people who had violated that trust. The receipt from that first grocery run was still in my purse, now soft from handling. I'd kept it as a reminder of the price of secrets, but the real price was sitting across from me, signing papers that ended everything we'd built. Where will you go? He asked. My sister's, until I figure things out. I signed my name with a hand that barely shook. You? Staying with Tom for now. Maybe find my own place. He gathered the papers, careful not to touch my fingers. I've been thinking about what you said, that it just happened. David, please. I believe you. That's the worst part. His voice cracked slightly. I believe it wasn't planned, that you didn't set out to destroy us. But that almost makes it worse. How? Because it means our marriage meant so little to you that you could throw it away for nothing. Not for love, not for passion. Just for a moment of weakness that you can't even explain. The words cut deeper than anger would have. He was right. I'd traded everything meaningful for something ultimately empty. I'm sorry. The words felt inadequate, weightless. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. I know you are. David stood, papers in hand. But sorry doesn't give me back the ability to trust. And without that,